Poor black mechanic helps stranded woman. What lands at his trailer? The next day shocks everyone. In a small, forgotten town where the cracked roads led to rusted trailers and broken dreams, one man's simple act of kindness would set off a chain of events nobody could have predicted. He had nothing, no money, no status, no opportunities, but what he did have was skill, compassion, and the will to help someone in need. When a stranded woman's car broke down on the roadside, he didn't think twice. But less than a day later, the roar of a helicopter above his trailer would leave the entire community stunned and forever change his life. Marcus Johnson lived on the edge of town in a run-down trailer patched together with sheet metal and tarps. His days were long, filled with odd jobs and repairing engines for neighbors who could only afford to pay him in scraps, food, or small favors. He had grown up in the South where opportunities for a poor black man were few and far between, and the sting of racism followed him everywhere, from suspicious glances at the grocery store to being denied decent-paying jobs despite his skills. Still, Marcus carried himself with quiet dignity. He had learned to survive by fixing broken things, whether it was a tractor, a washing machine, or the battered old pickup he used to haul tools. What little money he made went to covering his mother's medication and keeping the lights on in his trailer. On that hot summer afternoon, as he walked back from the local scrapyard with grease still on his hands, Marcus noticed a woman pulled over on the side of the road. Her car hood was open, steam billowing into the air. Dressed in a crisp blouse and expensive-looking shoes, she clearly didn't belong in that neighborhood. Most people would have driven past thinking it wasn't their problem. But Marcus stopped, because to him, helping someone in need wasn't about race or status. It was simply about doing what was right. The woman, flustered and anxious, explained that her car had died out of nowhere. She had tried calling for roadside assistance, but her phone had no signal. Marcus bent down, rolled up his sleeves, and started inspecting the engine. He saw immediately what was wrong: a broken radiator hose, leaking badly. Without hesitation, he told her to wait, jogged back to his trailer, and returned with a used hose he had salvaged weeks before. It wasn't perfect, but with steady hands and ingenuity, Marcus rigged the repair well enough for the car to run again. The woman was astonished. She offered to pay him, reaching into her wallet, but Marcus shook his head. "Don't worry about it," he said quietly. "Just get home safe." The woman hesitated, clearly unused to this kind of generosity. She thanked him and drove away, the sound of her engine fading into the distance. Marcus thought little of it. To him, it was just another day. He went home, heated up canned soup for dinner, and listened to the hum of the night insects through the cracks in his trailer walls. But what Marcus didn't know was that the woman wasn't just anybody. She was connected. Her family owned one of the largest companies in the state, and she herself was a senior executive. She hadn't just been stranded, she had been in a neighborhood where few would have dared to stop, and Marcus's act of kindness had left a deep impression. The next morning, Marcus woke up to the same reality as always. Unpaid bills stacked on his counter, his mother coughing in the next room, and his own body weary from endless labor. He pulled on his worn boots, ready to head back out for another day of scraping by. But just as he stepped outside, he heard it, the distant thump, thump, thump of rotor blades cutting through the sky. At first, he thought it was some military exercise. But the sound grew louder, shaking the ground beneath him. Neighbors came out of their trailers, shielding their eyes from the sun, staring upward in disbelief. A helicopter was circling the area, and then it began to descend, right in the empty lot next to Marcus's trailer. Dust swirled violently as the helicopter touched down, its powerful blades flattening the tall grass. Marcus raised his arm to shield his face, stunned by the spectacle. The trailer park had never seen anything like it. Children pointed, dogs barked, and neighbors whispered, wondering what on earth was happening. The door opened and out stepped the same woman he had helped the day before. Only this time, she wasn't stranded or helpless. She looked confident, composed, and accompanied by two men in business suits. She walked directly toward Marcus, smiling. "Marcus Johnson?" she called over the roar of the engine. He nodded, bewildered. She explained who she was and how his kindness had moved her. She admitted that in her world, people often offered help expecting something in return. But Marcus hadn't asked for anything. That, she said, spoke volumes about his character. Then she revealed why she was there. She wanted to offer him something life-changing. Her company owned an auto repair division, and they were in desperate need of someone with real mechanical skill and integrity. Not only was she offering Marcus a job, but she was also offering to relocate him and his mother to a proper home, away from the hardships of the trailer park. The crowd gasped. Marcus's heart pounded. For so long, he had been invisible, overlooked because of his race, his poverty, his circumstances. But now, standing in the dust and sunlight with a helicopter at his doorstep, he realized his life might finally change. The days that followed felt like a dream. Papers were signed, arrangements were made, and soon Marcus and his mother were moved into a modest but comfortable home provided by the company. He started work at their repair facility, where his knowledge impressed even the most seasoned mechanics. For the first time in years, he had a steady paycheck, health insurance for his mother, and dignity that couldn't be stripped away by prejudice. Yet beyond the material changes, what truly mattered was how his story spread. Neighbors spoke of it with pride, local newspapers covered it, and even people who had once looked down on Marcus began to see him differently. His act of kindness had not only transformed his life, but had challenged stereotypes about race, poverty, and worth. Still, Marcus remained humble. When asked why he had helped that day, his answer never changed. Because it was the right thing to do. And that's the power of the story. How a man with nothing could give freely and in return gain everything. It leaves us with a question worth reflecting on. In a world where so many walk past those in need, what might happen if we chose to stop, to help, and to see the humanity in each other? Because sometimes the smallest act of kindness can land with the force of a helicopter and change a life forever.